get tired of being so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dude.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Completely my fault. Completely my fault. I'm sorry I'm late. I understand. We've been really good about that lately, and I really apologize. I hate being late. It's never fun, but occasionally it happens. And what happened tonight was that the cells for the show, Leroy last minute wasn't able to come on, and we were expecting to have him, and then I forgot to do the cells, so it's my fault. He's still sick. He had what I had, so he's just been down, so I apologize. But either way, we're back. We'll give you an extra 15 minutes tonight. The Avs don't start till 10 o'clock. It's good to see everybody. I'm running solo tonight. Liv needs a night off. She was on 7 straight nights, and she's tired as hell. And yep, that's the way it is. So we'll be running solo tonight. We got a good show packed for you. March 13th, Chuck and Kathy Peterson will be in the house. Big fans of the Don't Unfriend Me show. And they will be here in Virginia. March 16th, Philip Hamilton will be in studio. March 25th, Brian Cook will be remote. And then we have Jessica Lynch on March 31st, confirmed and ready to go. Huge interview with her. And then also confirmed today on April 6th, day after my birthday. We'll be celebrating that on Friday night. We're going to move the jacket drawing to the following week. But April 6th, the older millennial will be here. I'm really excited for this too. He's one hell of a guy. So we have a big lineup. We'll keep this updated for you guys. And we're booked past April now. So we're like, yeah, we're solid. So we're now booking 60 days out, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, those are the shows. You can catch them. We're having 1 or 2 a week, which is pretty awesome. Good show tonight. Like I said, we're going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. Got some stuff with the Straits of the Hormuz. And yeah, listen, I know you guys are all waiting for Leroy to be on here so we can kind of wax this and go after it. But you know, listen, you gotta trust me when I say Leroy and I very rarely cross-reference and compare notes. Usually our analysis is completely autonomous of each other. We might touch base on a few things, but usually we are completely good to see you, Chuck. We're usually completely we don't compare notes. So usually when I say something, you get it from him and you get it from me, and it's pretty consistently our opinions individually. So you'll be able to get his soon, and he'll be on here as soon as we can. You know how that'll work. Trying to figure out where our call branding is. It's not on the top. Our watermark. Nope, that ain't it. Huh. 1 second. That sucks. I gotta get that fixed real quick. Gotta have our branding on there. Hope everybody's doing well. Listen, phone lines are going to be open tonight, and I want you guys involved. If you got something, let me know. And we would love to have you guys call in. So please do, and give us a ring if you want to get involved into the show. And like I said, we would love to hear from you. That's important for us, and it definitely keeps the show moving. We've got the call letters up. We're good to go, and let's rock and roll. First things first, I kind of want to put some people's minds at ease. Matt, I wrote older millennial today. Oh, he's already good. Olivia and him have been talking for a week, so we're good. We're good on the older millennial. Now go find somebody else. So had, some thoughts when it comes to the Straits of Hormuz, and I know this was a big conversation last night. We were talking about it quite a bit, and I want people to understand, it's like, hey, who has the power to close the Straits of Hormuz? Well, you can't just close the straits. First of all, it's not like the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, or the Al Bab Canal. It's very different than what you would think. And when you hear Straits of Hormuz, you think, okay, so is it like the Straits of Magellan, or is it the Cape? And honestly, it's just a very tight corridor into the Persian Gulf, which borders on the northern side and the northeastern side, Iran, and then Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and other countries in that vicinity, UAE, etc., that are just a bottleneck in a channel that carved through that portion of the continent. And it's about 21 miles wide at its widest point, at its most narrow. And it's a very difficult, so it's like 21 miles in its longest point. And then, just a few miles from tip to tip. I don't know the exact, I have been through it a few times. I'll give you a better idea as far as like, at its tightest point. So yeah, it's not 3 miles. That's just way too big, or way too small. It's much bigger than that. And I want to say it's 20 is what I remember. I'm going to show you a picture. Oh yeah, it's at least 20. I'm looking at it right now from a satellite. It's 20. 21 is what I'm thinking is what it is. Here's a satellite photograph. So as you can see, you've got the northern side, which has an island. You have several naval and ports right here in this pocket where a lot of the ships will come into, and they don't actually try to get into the Gulf to the west. They try to sit up on this quarter point here. On the Iranian side, there is a port. Then they've got Qatar, UAE, and all of those western sides of the tip here are massive thoroughfare and ports of entry. So at any given time coming through the straits, you might have 20 or 30 ships. Some people think it's like there's thousands a day. Well, most of the people that go through the straits specifically in this area are trying to move up into the Gulf and do trade with Iraq, do trade with Kuwait, do trade with Iran, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are few and far between, where most of the thoroughfare comes along the southern west side of the tip of the spear here. So when people are like, well, it's how do you shut it down? Well, you shut it down with threats. And this is considered international water. However, when you look at the coastline of ownership, Iran, because it moves into the country of Iran, as you can see, that hump there is all Iranian territory, coastal cities. And if you look at the explosive targeting map for Iran, all of it is based upon coastal strikes, like I told you. And the reason why is when they did this, they wanted to push to the western side in. They hit some spots in the Isfahan, and they hit spots up into Tehran, and they did that for a reason. And the reason was to obviously hit command and control communications. But most of the coastal batteries and man-portable missile systems and the Silkworm systems and the surface-to-surface missile systems, they were just bombarding all of those to keep the straits open. Now, there's some concern with mines and other things. We'll talk about this. And as you can see by some of the things I'm going to show you today, a lot of that is being knocked out as we speak by U.S. forces. Now, when people are like, the straits are closed for like 72 hours. They're not closed now. they're a little slower. And they're creeping traffic in, but this is the reason why we have 3 carrier groups in there, so we can start escorting civilian vessels in through this area. Now, the biggest concerns right now, and I'm going to walk through them with you, and I'll show you a couple of videos, is if you listen to what's being talked about right now, it's ultimately that the straits are being threatened by, and the reason why I'm discombobulated is I'm trying to pull up things while we talk, is that Iran is threatening to use coastal mines and using systems to essentially interrupt throughfare. The problem with this is that the systems that they are using, they don't have an abundance of when it comes to underwater, subterranean, and submersible mines. When I say subterranean, there are definitely islands and pockets on and are inside the straits where you can launch missile batteries from, you can launch drones from, and if you had a submersible, which would be an SDV or a submarine, you can actually plant and distribute some of these mine systems that are categorically deadly to civilian and even military movement. However, a couple things you need to understand is the mines that they are talking about, and these are actually the stationary style mines. These mines are actually produced by Russia and China. They have to be deployed by a submersible like an SDV or a submarine, and Iran doesn't have any submarines. Iran had a few, but those submarines are destroyed. So what a lot of people are saying is, well, these underwater mines are capable of nesting in the ground. Thank you, Gregory Harrison, $50. Appreciate you, Bubba. Because you're on point. I appreciate you, Greg. Not now. I'm behind and I'm completely discombobulated because I don't have a co-partner here, and I have no time for forgiveness. And I didn't, unfortunately, get a lot of my notes that I wanted, but that's okay. So one of the things that I would focus on with this is specifically, how does the U.S. intercept and disrupt defensive capabilities from Iran? Well, we talked about this. They have surface mines, and then they have mines that are submersible. These Chinese and Russian-made mines must be delivered and must be installed by, like I said, another submersible. They don't just go down and burrow into the ground and stay there. What they are is that they lay at the bottom of the Gulf, and they are activated, and then they would actively ping. And when they would actively ping, they're going to acquire a target. And when they have the target, they're going to go up under the bottom of a vessel and blow it up. Those are deadly. And those are absolutely something that Iran had in its model. But you would need to understand some things, is that the United States has been tracking this for quite a while now, long before October 7th. And has done quite a bit of work, and there's several different systems that we use. I can't go into a bunch of detail, but you can look up these yourself. Orca is one, Remus is one, there's Remus 300, Remus 500, and then Ghost Shark and Knifefish. These, I know this sounds kind of foolish and funny, but those weapon monikers are essentially HK systems that will hunt the bottom of the ocean, will use sonar, use magnetic imaging, and use passive listening, and use also aeronautics to ping with sonar from above with P3s, E2C Hawkeyes, sub-killers the same exact way. And then these units will essentially roam the bottom floor. And when they activate or see or identify one of these passive systems, they HK it, they kill it. These systems that we've been using, our own submersible drones, have been being used for quite a long time. And if you want to go back to Nord Stream 2, you might get yourself an idea of how the United States could have been involved with Ukraine to take out Nord 2. So these systems have been working. So that limits Iran's capability for mines. So really what they have now are there's two variant degrees of drones that the Iranians use. And these drones are highly effective. There's no doubt. They are submersibles. They are surface riding, and also they can be submerged. That's why they're called submersibles. Their battery lives, dependent upon overall power, can run for 24 hours to 72 hours. A lot of their overall ability for movement is about 25 knots. They are very loud. They get picked up by a magnetic array. They can be picked up by towed sonar array. They can be picked up on sonar itself. There's other systems that I can't talk about, which we have in the water for imaging, and sound wave acoustics, which gives us a different type of thermal imaging capabilities and other things that I can't really go into. So the point is that these things are like a kid riding their stereo down the block. You're going to know when they're activated. So do these civilian vessels have any type of countermeasures against these? No, they don't. But that's not the problem. The problem is if you put U.S. vessels in harm's way, do these drones have the capability to sink an Arleigh Burke destroyer, to sink a cruiser? No, they don't. No, these are not that type. These are designed to go after propellers, go after hull and create hull damage, force vessels to close compartments and anchor offshore, and stop through fare. Now, if they get hit with enough, then that's an issue. But the thing is that they are not hunter killers without eyes, and you need a human being to navigate these things. And that is the issue. The issue being is that there's no command and control right now in Iran. So the standing orders were not to attack the straits and attack these vessels, because it's not just the United States that goes through the Straits of Hormuz. It's not just China that goes through the Straits of Hormuz. It's not just Russia. Everybody goes through the straits. And if you start randomly just blowing up civilian through fare, you're going to piss off other countries that you don't want. Now, Iran doesn't really care about that, but they don't want to get other people involved, like Russia, like China, who ultimately are standing pat, giving them intelligence, giving them the ability to be hands off in those situations. So a lot of those things, these commanders in these areas, these pockets of resistance, which have the ability to make decisions on their own, have not received any instruction to hit ships in Hormuz, because if they did, they would have done it already. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they would already have known this. So when we talk about this, you have to ask yourself the question: Iranians don't really care about neighboring countries, but they have to be somewhat practical by design. If they want to attack the whole world, it's not beneficial for Iran to do that. It is beneficial for them to hit the Jews and people who support Jews, and to hit the West, and pretty much anyone in that general region. They're letting them know, if you fuck with us, we're going to hit you indiscriminately. And they don't really care, because ultimately their goal is to meet Allah and to have their 72 virgins, and being martyrs is what they care about. So, but Iran is not going to get themselves into a situation where Western powers are going to say, you know what, maybe just a tactical nuke will really send a message to these fucking people, because we figured out what happened with the Japanese when we did that. They saw what happened to Iraq. They saw what happened in Afghanistan, and all those things weren't extremely successful at the time. The sheer amount of weaponry that the United States has, Iran is not stupid. They understand this. So they are trying to push this as far as they can and continue to use small, incidental interactions to interdict the shipping lanes, the economy, and fuel prices, to pinch the Trump administration to back off and pull out. This is what they're hoping for, and this is what they always do. They're a stick and move type country. They're predominantly defensive. So, as far as underwater explosives, everybody uses them. China uses them, Russia uses them, United States, England, France, Poland, everybody uses them. So, but mines are usually, okay, do what Drew Dixon said. I don't know. Oh, hit like and subscribe, y'all. Oh, okay. Well, yes, definitely do that. So I want you guys to understand is that if the standing order was for Iran to hit vessels in the straits, it would have been done already. They would be attacking Yemen, and the proxies in the Houthis would be attacking in the Red Sea. You would have Hezbollah trying to launch at the Mediterranean, and I believe right now the George Bush is not there yet, so it would be the Ford. You have a situation where you would have multiple independent ICBMs or surface-to-surface missiles, Silkworm, CSE-3s, which there still are plenty on these coastal batteries, attacking U.S. vessels or attacking maritime ships, and that's not happening. And the reason why is I truly believe the United States has hit most of these batteries that were man-portable or fixed when it comes to surface-to-surface missiles, and we've been hitting them, and the Jews have been hitting them for 2 years. Then you're relying on coastal mines, which nobody's going into the Gulf and gives a shit about. And then you have drones and you have buried mines, which are activated with guidance from being turned on, recognizing a vessel above it, and then HKing that vessel. Those things have not been taking place. China does not want those things activated, and most of them were used for defensive capability, and I believe that most of those are on the coast of Iran, and this is to dissuade any type of land assault from the Iraq side moving off to Iran, or the United States putting out an LHD or an LHC and putting Marines on the ground. Not that that would take place from that area, but that is one of the most vulnerable spots for Iran, because it's where a lot of their nuke plants are. It's where a lot of their battery systems are. It's where a lot of where they make a lot of their cake for their weapon systems is all on the western side, on the coastal area, because it's the weakest spot of Iran. It is now defended heavily. And if you look at the strike patterns for the U.S., like I said, it is all up and down the coast. It is all on the western side of Iran. Every single strike that we've been doing is literally bombarding those IRGC regiments and those coastal battery and defense systems. Okay? I don't think the Teddy's in there. I think it's Abraham Lincoln, George Bush, and the Ford right now. I don't think Teddy is in the Gulf. Not that I know of. I mean, I'll try to find out for you. But I don't believe Teddy Roosevelt is in the Gulf right now. It's only 3 carrier groups right now, and one of them steaming. The George Bush is steaming towards. Find out. I know the Ford moved into the Red Sea. Yeah, it's under 3rd Fleet, so it's in the Pacific. Yeah, it's in San Diego. So it's Naval Air Station San Diego. And that would make sense. So you got the Bush, you got the Teddy. Scratch that. You got the Bush. You've got the Lincoln, and you've got the Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford's been out to sea for 11 months. They're due for a pull-in. Have we broken out the B-52s? B-52s were put in play in the first 24 hours. We came in with high-altitude B-2s, which hit multiple targets. We went in with Tomahawks and F-35s to squawk and talk and hit most of their surface-to-air missiles, but we got most of those on Midnight Hammer, most of their surface-to-air missiles, but there were still surface-to-airs to hit. Those were all hit. We then went in with F-117s. We went in with B-2Bs. Then we brought in the B-1B Lancers and the B-52 bombers. Okay? All right. Good? Everybody good? Any questions I missed? Okay, call in if you have any other questions, folks, because we got to get going. We got a lot to do. So here's just a funny that Donald Trump had today, and then we're going to show you some of these strikes. Here it is.
Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it, we knocked out 46, and actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it, we had leaders, and they're gone. Then we had new leaders, and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country.
All right, so I want to show you guys a few things and some of these vessels. So if you guys know about the LHD class and the LHA class of the vessels that the United States started playing with, they had almost a hovercraft style look to them, which had two displacement on the left and right side and a very narrow profile on the underneath, which they believe would make these eventually stealthy. They were somewhat stealthy, but found out that propulsion was a pain in the ass for these things. Navigation even sucked with these things. And they realized that, 700-800 years of making vessels, you can't really, it's like a butter knife. You just can't really improve it. So when we look at this is an Intel vessel. You can see it has landing pads on the back. This is one of Iran's most high-end intelligence class vessels, which is used for electronic intelligence, uses imagery analysis, can do electronic countermeasures, and a lot of other things that it can do. But mostly importantly, it's an Intel ship's responsibility is to keep track of all the other vessels in the area and watch its early warning, but also do predictive analysis on what threats it might have. This is a very important vessel. Well, it was for the Iranians, and without any protection became a sitting duck. It's not a hydrofoil, but it does have two independent ballasts on the side, and a center of it is, you can see almost concave and off the water. These are kind of a mixture between a frigate and an LCC or an LHD type craft, but they are not the greatest. And the U.S. Navy played with these and then scrapped them. You may have seen the new destroyers that he talked about, Donald Trump talked about, and they had this similar model. They are not that. This is getting hit right now. It's already on fire, and that pretty much is endgame. So that is into the main forecastle. That is not good. That is taking out all navigation, all communication. Propulsion was already hit on this thing. This thing's a dead duck. You're toast. Now, it's a very, very cool looking vessel and something you would see from a 007 type movie. But overall, it's an Intel vessel and it gets crushed. Yeah, a catamaran. Yeah, it's very similar to a catamaran, but just modernized. Very shallow draft. It's a little bit faster. It has a wide stance, yes, but it's more stable, but not with currents and not in high seas. It can't cut through the waves and it can't cut through inclement weather the way other full ballast vessels are. Here's another shot, and you can just see this thing's totally obliterated. I mean, all of its shielding is coming off. Any radar absorbent material is coming off. It's a sitting duck. It's a little patrol boat. Was a patrol boat. That's not a missile system. This thing looks like it was taken by 20 millimeter cannon or a 30 millimeter cannon. You can see it's just getting hit by sprawl, and you can see the rounds coming across as it's being strafed. But it's being hit with depleted uranium rounds. You can tell by the sparks in the ignition. And then obviously here are some other patrol boats. These are just dual engine outboard motors, really small. That's hit by a missile, probably a Hellfire, something to that effect. This is a sub. So these are old Russian and Chinese subs. I'm not sure which version of a submarine this is. This might be an old Hong. More than or possibly an old Akula class submarine. It doesn't matter. Iran has a bunch. They even have older Egyptian submarines. But this gets one taken right on the foredeck, where all the command and control is. This is the forward aft of the ship. This is where combat and CIC. This is where overall turbine and loading any type of torpedoes horizontally fired are done in this channel here. So you're essentially neutering this thing by hitting it in this area It's where other explosives are going to be kept inside this. So when you hit it, you're trying to create sympathetic explosions, but really you're just trying to put a hole in it, roughly the size of, a manhole cover. And then this thing is inoperable, and it's taken out of commission. Another, just a skiff, river patrol boat type. Once again, quick little hit. That's just going to be a small little missile system to take it out. Hellfire, probably from a drone. And once you hit these things, they go up. Now, this is a little bit different. This is an armored. This is a patrol boat style, but it's not the size of a frigate, but it is about half the size of it. It's just a little cruiser. And this thing is going to, once again, in the rear side of the vessel, where a lot of ammunition's taken, where a lot of the entryways to the forecastle are, they're going to hit right there in the back side of that ship. It's where a lot of the engines are, a lot of the hydraulics are. It just blows the living shit. They know right where to hit these vessels, and you can see they're all getting hit in the same spot. Another patrol boat gone. And there it is. So, taking out vessels one by one by one by one. I want to get into some of the other vessels they're hitting now. So these are the mine layers. So we're hearing all this stuff. Now, the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is interesting, is CNN came out with a report and said, you guys remember, oil went up to like 127 a barrel. I mean, it just shot up. And within 40 years, the biggest climb it's seen in 40 years, and then dropped all the way down to 87 less than 24 hours later. Why? Well, we know why. Well, Trump came out and said, listen, there's an end in sight. We're not giving you an exact date, but we're comfortable. We're going to keep the straits open. We're moving in a second carrier group. We're going to have guided missile cruisers and other vessels. Make sure that civilian maritime ships get through the straits. And you saw oil prices drop and have stayed down. You saw the stock market. We'll see a video by CNN talk a little bit about this climb. But then today CNN came out, and this is really interesting because I have spoken to 7 friends who are either active or formerly in intelligence, and asked the question, are we seeing an increase in T1 style mines and drones from Iran? And the drones most assuredly was a yes. We're seeing that they're trying to put drones in the water. But are we seeing Chinese and Russian made dormant mines being placed in these areas? And I'm getting absolutely no hits on that. I'm getting 100% negative on that. So it's interesting to me when I hear CBS and CNN come out and talk about that these are real threats that are genuine. Because I'm not hearing any of that. And I'm hearing it on CNN. So now I have to ask the question, well, why is it that we're hearing this from them? Because the EM-52 and the EM-53s from Iran, they look like I'll show you. Oh, I don't have any current images. My database needs updating. So I'm trying to find some photographs. See, a lot of this is outdated in my database. I'm sorry, folks. I don't have photos. Just imagine like a torpedo with props that moves at 25 knots. and aren't very threatening and stick out like a sore thumb. So those are easily spotted and easily killed. But the biggest concern is the underwater mines. And when you're thinking of a mine, you're thinking of one that's floating on the surface or floating slightly below the surface, that are chained down and anchored down and go to a certain depth, and then they're magnetic and they go up against a hole and boom. That's not what these are. These are like bouncing betties. And when a maritime ship or military vessel go over, they're activated. And they're not activated passively. They're not passively working. They're passively working with HK them like that. They have to be turned on. So they're like a missile battery, like an integrated air defense system. Once the radar starts sweeping, once the sonar starts sweeping, then you know how to kill it. Well, and then it acquires its target and it goes up. And it launches up and goes straight up and it goes underneath the vessel and boom, it blows. Those are deadly. I have heard nothing about those actually in the Straits of Hormuz at all. At all. So here is what the United States is doing. They're specifically going after mine layers right now. These are the mine layers that would do subsurface mine laying. And what I mean by that is that they will have a chain or some sort of cable that's attached to a weighted anchor, a fixed area, and these mines will go down, hit the bottom, and have a certain amount of length on the chain or cable. A lot of these chains and cables now are vinyl covered, et cetera, but they are designed to, not necessarily release unless you're going into an area that you're not supposed to go into, which is just right off the coast of Iran. And a lot of those have been hit and killed and destroyed multiple times by underwater demolition teams, special forces, submersibles, et cetera. But there are mine layers that could put those in the Straits, which is ridiculous. If you go into the Straits right now, they're going to get sunk. So Iran has shown no movement towards that, because when I show you all these strikes, you're going to see something that's one thing that's consistent in all of them. So watch this. Okay, so first thing. That's in harbor. And you can see that it has scaffolding on the back and runners. So there's two things that this thing is responsible for. It's going to lay underwater style mines and charges. So it can actually lay depth charges too, not just mines itself, because you can see those running tracks. It's not a missile system. It's not a delivery platform. It's to roll off the back of the ship. They extend and then they drop canisters in the water, similar to a depth charge, which can be activated and then explode without direct contact. Well, that sucker's gone. And they didn't even disable it. They just blew the whole fucking thing up. So that was hit with, you can see, a fairly large munition. See the size of that shell? And what is it? Watch this. It's low profile. Do you see that? I cannot tell you what that is. And everyone right now is going to go, Matt, what the fuck is that? I can't tell you what that is. And if Leroy was here, he couldn't tell you either. You're like, Matt, it's not a Tomahawk. Matt, how fast is it moving? Look at its heat signature. It's passive on FLIR. It's dark, which means that the actual outer shell is hot, but look at the exhaust. The exhaust is super low profile. It looks honestly like a 50 millimeter, 75 millimeter, 120 millimeter shell. It's not. You see it? But look at the size of the impact. You guys, the U.S. military has shit that you guys don't even know. And what is it going after? Well, here it's actually going after any type of munitions that are stored on the back, and you're getting a sympathetic explosion. See that? Is that not cool? Matt, what is that? If Leroy's here, he wouldn't tell you either. Looks like a cannonball. Close guess, Darla. Once again, that's a mine layer. That's just taking out, it's an outboard motor. You got two skiffs here, which can also be used. You see two outboard motors here. So we are not only hitting military-style vessels, we're hitting mine layers. And we're hitting these. This is a larger ship, and this thing gets completely demolished. Look at this. That's a big mine layer. That cracks the ship. This breaks it right down the middle. Matt, what is that? The toys that the United States has. Don't fuck with the United States military. That's all I'm going to say. So I wanted to show you guys that. And I wanted you to explain to you that, yes, the Straits, they're going to take this easy. They're not going to go ahead and just open up the Straits completely and just allow civilian vessels to go through wantingly. We understand that Iran is desperate. We understand that Iran is stupid. But I don't believe that they have the capabilities to continue to hold the Straits. Okay? Was that the one for a few days ago? No, those are all recent. So I only try to show recent stuff. A lot of these vessels are the same. And Iran gets them at bulk, you know? They'll get 20 or 30 type of these vessels. And this is what they do. But the bulk of the Iranian fleet is in the water. And now we've went after the mine layers. So, once again, I think the Straits will be continued to be a little bit slower for the next week or two. I think the United States is coming up with a solution. I think there's multiple deployable units that they can put in the water that will fix and take care of any underwater mines that are available that are not active right now, that are passive, if there are any there at all. But once again, I have asked questions, and I have asked multiple times, and I've received nothing in affirmative that the Chinese and Russian main underwater submersible subterranean they're not underground, they're not in the dirt, but they are on the floor bed of the ocean, are not in place in that area. That's my understanding. Okay. Do you think the U.S. can strike from space? No backing proof needed, just your opinion. Opinion's not needed. I think the United States can strike anywhere that it wants, that it has ventured to throughout history. So my answer to my question, I think the United States can attack up close. I think it can attack from medium range. It can attack from long range, intercontinental ballistic missile range. I think it can attack from the troposphere, the ionosphere, the stratosphere, and I think it can attack from space. Yes. I think the United States has multiple systems that can not just maybe kinetically and from a non-kinetic way as well. So if you ask me, can it attack from space kinetically? I'm not going to answer that question, but I can tell you from a non-kinetic way, yes. And attacks can be done multiple ways. Attacks can be interrupters, attacks can be cyber, attacks can be disinformation, interruption, interdictors, all of that is non-kinetic. Does the U.S. have space lasers? No, not that I know of. No. And why would you need a space laser when you can deploy it from other means that don't require a satellite and a power source, which is not infinite? Because you're not going to recharge. Nuclear satellites are not. Yeah, power is the issue, right? So when people are like space lasers, direct energy weapons from space, there's no need for that. That's my point. Why would you spend trillions of dollars on that when you don't need that? When you can get the same result with military vessels and other type craft. You know what I mean? But I will tell you, I absolutely believe the United States can attack from any position that it's ever been or existed. It's very much like a cat. A cat can't get into something it can't get out of. The same holds true for the United States. Wherever it's been is where it can attack from. Can it attack from the moon? Okay, that's a little much. Little much. Here is a breakdown. Now, I want to give this credit.
I want to bring in Jen Griffin, our national security correspondent.
Because I owe this to you. Now, this is a video, by the way, folks, donations, thedumbshow.com/donate. We're at $50. We have a goal of 300. We're looking for 250 tonight. By the way, need some help with likes and stuff. We have a lot of people watching. We can always use likes, please. Second, this is, a lot of people watched the video I did last night in regards to the Tomahawk, and was it a U.S. Tomahawk missile? I want to clarify my position one more time about this. This is really important to me. One is that I do believe it was a Tomahawk. I do believe it was launched by the United States, but I did not confirm in any way, shape, or form that it hit the school, because I don't believe it did. I don't believe it did. So now, could it have been sympathetic damage? Absolutely. Absolutely. But do I believe that people are saying, well, it's a smaller explosive, therefore it wasn't a Tomahawk? That doesn't hold water, because you can change the yield on the explosives inside Tomahawks. That's what makes them so amazing. And you can put 400 pounds of explosive in it, or 1,000 pounds, or you can put a nuclear warhead in that fucking thing if you want to. So Tomahawks are extremely diverse, and it's a single delivery system with multiple ordnance levels of operational efficiency. So do I believe that this was a low-level explosive? Sure. And the reason why is because it was a strategic bombing, and they were doing it in a resi area that was in a compound for IRGC. Was the intel good or bad on the school? I don't know. I wasn't there. I can only tell you based upon my analysis of the delivery angle of the Tomahawk, the size, the profile, the explosive capabilities, the overall where it came from. I feel very comfortable with saying that it's a Tomahawk. But does that mean that the United States hit that school? That remains to be seen. Now, you're hearing that the IRGC is finding remnants and pieces with serial numbers and all that shit. None of that is accurate to me. Essentially, what will happen is every single strike will be reviewed. And please understand, every time a Tomahawk goes up, every time any type of drone goes up, anytime a Reaper goes up, it doesn't matter whatever it is, it's tracked by intel. And you have people who are responsible for ISR, like myself, like Leroy, who watch the strike. And they track, you have operations specialists tracking the missiles. You have intelligence specialists looking for any kind of real-time data, looking for any systems that are possibly going to be in the way. You've got radio men who are working on this. You've got crypto working on this. There are multiple agencies watching these things. And every missile has a team, and they will break down. They'll break down where it was launched from, its overall speed, its overall path, anything that tried to interdict its path, anything that could have hurt the missile or the projectile from coming in, where it ultimately landed. It'll have GPS data and locations of its overall delivery of payload. All of these things will be analyzed and broken down. Okay? Okay? Dean says, how much of a problem will the Houthis be from straight down by Yemen? So the western side of Yemen is controlled by the Houthis sparingly. They are not necessarily getting involved right now. And the reason why is they have an entire carrier group sitting right off their coast who is ready to send them all to hell. The Indians tested nukes just about 200 miles away from Yemen. So I don't think the United States has any problem with blowing Yemen off the fucking face of the map. And the Yemenis government on the eastern side has no problem with that either. And the Houthis have been shelled and beaten to a pulp. I think the carrier group is going to keep them from getting involved into this battle. You brought up last night building a canal through EAU. Was the oil pipeline ever discussed? No, I don't think so. You know what? And honestly, why not? You're not going to build underwater, so you're going to channel it. So why not go ahead and put a pipeline in the exact same spot? The only thing I would think of is it would leave it, unless you can do an underground pipeline. Logistically, depth isn't an issue, but being targeted by a foreign adversary, that's not good. I think the safest way to move oil from point A to point B has been proven that vessels are the safest way overall, and that pipelines always leak and pipelines always break, and underwater pipelines are a fucking headache because coastal shift and earthquakes are everywhere, especially in that part of the world. But it's not a bad idea, but I'm not an expert in it, so I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a good question. Good question. Okay, so here is the analysis that it's a Tomahawk, and you're going to hear this. But I wanted to make sure you guys understood. I'm not saying the United States hit that school. I never said that. What I'm saying is that it very much, in my estimation, is a Tomahawk. Here is Fox's analysis. And I'm going to show you a fairly long video from Matt Tardillo, which is actually really a good analysis, but wrong.
I want to bring in Jen Griffin, our national security correspondent. One of the questions, Jen, in that news conference was about the strike on the girls' school that's next to a base in Iran, and it was a Tomahawk missile. The president saying Tomahawks are used by other countries, but an investigation is ongoing. What do we know about where that stands?
Well, that was a bit surprising to me because basically the U.S. has Tomahawks. Tomahawks have to be fired from either submarines or from warships. The Brits and the Australians have Tomahawks, but they're not part of this conflict. And then you also have the Japanese who are in a testing phase. So it seems highly unlikely that it would be anyone's Tomahawk other than a U.S. Tomahawk that hit that school. And I think the president knows that. He just knows that this is certainly a mistake, a big mistake, and it's being investigated, but he's trying to sort of muddy the waters by talking about the Tomahawks.
Yeah, they were saying that they didn't believe it was theirs, or they believed that Iran misfired something. Are we sure that it was a Tomahawk that hit that school?
There's no evidence that the Iranians fired anything at the school. If you look at the satellite imageries, and there have been a lot of investigations from the air, from these satellite photos, showing the impact and showing the likelihood that it was a Tomahawk.
Yeah, I think Jennifer Griffith is, she doesn't get political in her analysis, but I think looking at the BDA, you don't have the BDA. She doesn't have the BDA. So the bomb damage assessment, she has no fucking idea what the BDA is. And you can look at satellite photos, that gives you imaging analysis. But until you actually get on ground to investigate, there are several different weapon systems which can create the same similarities as a Tomahawk. But what people are really pissing me off on is the overall bomb signature from the actual, once the Tomahawk struck, and the overall explosive profile of the weapon system. You guys need to understand, if a Tomahawk is coming in at 80 degrees, it's going through 3 or 4 floors before it's exploding. It doesn't explode on the top. It's not a GBU. It's not a penetrator. It's not going to go subterranean. It's not going to go into the earth and dig its way in like a 58 well or a 57-58 well GBU. But a Tomahawk, it's got a front support that is fairly reinforced. It's got a strong nose, and it's designed to go into mid-level bunkers. It's designed to go through multiple floors. It's designed to blow up at the ground level. And if it enters into a 3 or 4 story building, it's large enough. If you look at the bunker hitting capability of a Tomahawk, most of these bunkers are what, 10 by 20 pillbox styles in these tests? Well, of course you're going to get residual flames and explosions, and it's not going to contain the blast. But if you put it through a 150 foot building by 220 foot with 3 levels and 3 stories, it's going to have a very different blast signature than it would if it was just hitting a shed. So to me, if a Tomahawk is going to go through the ground and it's going to be a low yield explosive, you're going to see that channel, that piping of that explosive, and all of the burn fragments and the excess from the explosion shoots straight up through a building. These people have never seen a Tomahawk hit before. So I want people to go ahead and curb their enthusiasm, but I want you to watch this because I had some of this guy's stuff on last night, and I want to give you his full perspective. And I really like this guy. His name's Matt Tardillo, or Tardillo. I don't think he wants to be called a Tard, so we'll say Tardillo and respect him that way. It's a very interesting video. I'm going to forward through some parts, but I want to give you the full poop on him because he did the work, and I owe it to him to at least show you what he has to say. Folks, donation lines are open. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate. Would love to get that done. We're already at 8:11, and yeah. So here is Matt Tardillo's analysis.
First, let's go up over to Google Earth. Let me show you where this place is located. And this is very important for everybody to understand as we get into the region. This terrain right here is Iran.
That's
right
true.
Here you have Oman,
Yep.
and you have U.S. warships right over here in the Gulf of Oman, somewhere in this region. Not 100% sure. When we zoom in on the school in Manab and we start getting closer to it, I've got it pinned right up on here. You guys are about to see it. As we zoom in, you will see a very clear outline of a compound right here as it goes down. All the way around. You guys can see that wall all the way around. That is an IR.
Now, before he goes in here, I don't have my pointer. So what I need to do is I need to create a pointer for us. So what I'm going to do is create. I love my program. I'm going to give us a circle. Let's see. Let's do a circle. And let's make this thing as brightly colored as possible so you guys can see it. So we're going to do a bright green, and we're going to do a border color of yellow. And I'm not trying to make this aesthetically pleasing, but I am trying to give you guys a good look at what I'm trying to do. All right, let's just make that border black. All right. Okay. So this will allow me to move this around. So let me make it a little smaller. Get my donation window out of there. Okay. So I'm going to put a pin on these for you and try not to move them too much. Oh, what a pain in the ass. Come on, baby. It's going to make me make it bigger. All right, right here, there's an entry point. Entry point number 1, entry point number 2, and entry point number 3. And entry point number 4. Okay? So you've got 4 entry points on this surrounded base that he was talking about. So the whole thing that this is a sealed area, you can see literally the bollards right here, the one I just took off. You can see the breakpoints here on the roadways. See that? So the school's here, and you have an entry point right here. So you have multiple points of entry all along this so far. Okay? So let's watch the rest. So yes, it's blocked off. Yes, it's walled off. But it's not walled off like it's a compound. Like, yes, it's an IRGC compound. Yes, the exposures off roadways are blocked off, but there are entry points into this area.
GC compound. Video footage and stuff that's been taken on the ground confirms it as an IRGC naval facility.
Correct.
Equipped with a hospital, a couple other things, allegedly a hospital or a clinic. And the more research I done, I come to find out a couple things. One, that allegedly they walled this place off a year to 2 years ago. Walled this place off and turned this into what they're calling a school. Yep, that's what they're calling it. And that video you just saw is what ends up telling everybody, apparently, that the United States of America ended up doing it. Well, with that, we've got lots of problems. We've got this analysis from the New York Times, that says, suggests the school was hit amid U.S. strikes on Iranian naval base. And they've got a lot of evidence that they like to put out here. And we'll take a look at some of it. This is their initial one. And there's a couple things that we can notice about this imagery within itself. If we look at this building right here, and I just want to show you guys this. First, we're going to go over the accuracy. You guys will notice that all of these buildings were either A, leveled or hit center mass, center mass, center mass. And then for some reason, this one's hit on the corner. Y'all see that? Wait for it to come. Weird. So in this one instance, we lost our ability to hit center mass. This next video is probably one of the most appalling ones. And I can show you guys exactly on the maps where this video is being taken.
So if a building's not hit center mass, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where you aim for on that building, depending upon what you're trying to hit. Understand that there could be munitions in that building. There could be fuel on the outside of it. It could be a sympathetic explosion. That's more likely. Is like the initial strikes on the IRGC compound, you had sympathetic explosion. You had shrapnel. You could have had fuel. Could have hit propane. There's a lot of things that could happen that explain why half of that building's face is gone. That has a lot more to do with sympathetic explosion than a direct hit from a tomahawk. Yeah.
And where it's coming from. All right. And what you're looking at exactly on here. So let me get this up for you. If we zoom in on the school, this video is being taken from right here on this corner. All right. Right here on this corner. This chunk of the building is gone. Remember?
By the way, you can see the entry points that I was talking about because you see the bollards. If you take a look right here, there's bollards 1, 2, 3, 4. These are to stop any type of trucks or anything to come in with an IED or explosive or a VBID, which is basically a vehicle IED. This right here is an entry point. You can see there is a gate there, and this is an entry point for people to come in and obviously drop. So there's multiple entry points here into this area. And I'm not saying this guy's wrong. I'm not saying he's bad. He's doing a great job. Everything he's saying so far is correct. I just want to offer a little bit more detail from a person who's been trained in satellite imagery. Now, this guy has been, it's my understanding, I think he's special forces. I think he's Army. I don't know who he works with. But he's obviously ran around with soft guys because I've seen him in tactical gear. I've seen him with blotched out photographs and stuff. So the guy's been into the shit, and understanding the operator's perspective is fantastic. But with all due respect, operators don't really follow BDA. They don't understand satellite imagery. They don't get into that shit. These guys are hard chargers. They go out, they knock doors, and our job is to tell them which doors to knock. You know what I mean?
Because apparently we lost our ability to have accuracy. So this chunk of the building is gone. They're standing right here in this parking lot area next to this tree, and they're looking in this direction. So that's what you guys are about to watch when we get into this video. And then we're going to have some more stuff to go over.
Okay. So obviously, like I said, it's not that we didn't hit center mass, but you can see, I can get this thing rewound. Oh, let's just go to it and I'll show you.
They're standing right here in this parking lot area next to this tree, and they're looking in this direction. So that's what you guys are about taking and where it's coming.
So you can see the building. The complete side of the building is completely just demolished. So there was obviously an explosive blast coming from somewhere. Now, here's the thing, is there were secondary fires in here. So it leads me to believe a lot of when a tomahawk's hit, unless it hits its cinderary, the secondary fires usually are not in the blast center. Most of that is just destroyed, but you can see that a lot of these blasts got a donation. Drew Dixon, 1414, Stars Avalanche. Okay, just Avalanche is fine. But you can see there's a lot of burns coming through here. So a lot of this shows secondary fires. So just understand that there's multiple reasons. The thing that interests me is in this video shot of the satellite imagery. Let's see if I can get to it. I'll stop.
One instance, right spot. We lost our ability to hit center mass. This next video is probably one of the most appalling ones. And I can show you guys exactly on the maps where this video is being taken at and where it's coming from. All right. And what you're looking at exactly on here. So let me get this up for you. If we zoom in on the school, this video.
So here's the one thing that I see immediately that makes me go, is you see this little white area right here? Now, this could be poured concrete, which has an entryway right here into this school, right? That's possible. But inside here, you see there is a little bit of a gated area. It's possible propane is right there. There could be some sort of fuel source. A lot of these areas in Iran will use oil tanks and direct oil for burn for energy. And they will be, 500 drums raised above the earth of pure oil. We don't know what's there in that copse of trees right there. And that's the one thing that I would want a little bit more analysis around. But trees are used for two things: shade in the Middle East and shade in the Middle East. So we don't know what's under there. And that would explain if that there's a sympathetic explosion from the left side hitting some of these areas, that there could have been some sort of tank there, whatever, because the damage it looks like doesn't look like a Tomahawk. Tomahawk flattens and destroys. It just pulverizes cement. And the reason why it pulverizes cement is because that's what it's supposed to fucking do, because of the profile of the explosive it uses. It's not like an Anfro or TNT, which has a very long wave. It is a very fast moving and sharp wave, and literally just pulverizes when it explodes versus tears. That explosion looks like a slower moving explosion and is tearing through the compound. So we don't know what it is, okay? But if a Tomahawk hit that building, I don't think that building is standing in any way, shape, or form.
Video is being taken from right here on this corner, all right? Right here on this corner. This chunk of the building is gone.
All right, so you're pulling backpacks out of here. You're pulling kids' stuff out of here. Tomahawk hits that. No. Interesting. You got an IRGC shrine. That's camo cloth. And it looks like you've got some photos of some martyrs or something.
All right. Around, you do have people that are outside taking pictures of books, allegedly. And the name that's down here on the bottom of the screen, by the way, we're going to go over that in a little bit. The source that they actually use for this, which is very important.
And I want to be clear, is that like disinformation from state media in Iran is very much like Gaza. They will put civilian structures next to military depots and military bases on purpose. And listen, we know that people were using a lot of propaganda in Gaza, but we also know a lot of it's true at the same time. Yeah, Frederick, you need to watch my video last night. I answered all those questions.
Uh-oh, she froze on me. Come on, wake up.
Sounds like he's a one-man crew like I am. You got to respect this guy.
Right here, coming up in the video, you guys are going to see a couple things, which shouldn't be a surprise to you. If you didn't catch it the first time, there's IRGC Officer 1, IRGC Officer 2, and you're about to see 3, 4, or 5 appear over here in the background. You got several. 1, 2, yep, 3. So a total of 5 that are sitting there. 6. I saw a 6th one. Now, this is where it gets interesting when you go into the quote-unquote classroom for young girls. Martyrs, probably some names hanging in front of it. Looks like...
Okay, so he sees the same thing I do.
IRGC mural. That's what it looks like in the middle of this young children's classroom.
Now, this guy would know about this stuff because he's boots on the ground, right? So he would recognize, as do I, he would recognize military officials from the IRGC, the uniform. He recognizes the shrine. He would see these things. I mean, this is pretty common practice. I recognized it. He did too.
And nobody wanted to question this whatsoever, and that's fine. They can have a freaking Hitler Youth Memorial right in the corner of their dang classroom. I want to show you guys something else. Noon. Local time, noon. Last I checked, this post is still live. This is a screenshot the way I had it. The account's up there on your screen. The situation of our students. We are different from each other. You closed down yesterday. Well, we are making missiles in school. We foster elites. Now, you can actually match that painting on that wall outside the building. But this is the crazy part. This was 2 hours later. This post is from 2 hours later. The goal of placing a school in Manab and the martyrdom of a large number of innocent Iranian students will break the necks of all those who paved the way for the attack on Iran from the treacherous fugitive celebrities.
All right, yeah, this is nothing. I mean, this is just standard bullshit. This could be some twat who's just posting this. It doesn't prove anything, so I'm not sure why we're doing this.
RGC compound. The yellow dotted lines represent the roadways that are going through there.
That's correct.
Now, like I said,
how would you have roadways that was closed off? Right, because we know there's egress and entrance points. I just showed you where they all are.
apparently 2 years ago, they decided to turn this building into a school. They said they built walls in there to keep everybody out, and that's what they ended up doing. I have been able to geolocate a fence here, and that's the one that I noticed. So that's it.
There's 4.
Now, here's the crazy part. You guys can see the tire tracks going right through the IRGC compound where there's supposed to be a wall, and it's not there. Even if I was to go back to this initial video and blow this up on your screen and drag it back to the beginning and the very opening frame, you guys can see this right here. This is one of those very big, like, searchlights, you know, that you use to secure places, like a military base or a military installation. Right up over there on the perimeter. And from this direction, you would be looking north outside of the compound. You'd be looking north outside of the compound, right up over here. So even on the perimeter through the rubble of the school up over here, IRGC threw up a massive searchlight. And I would presume it's been there the entire time. Pound equivalent.
Sorry, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. So some of the things that he's talking about, I like, it's begging the question, right?
Now,
okay.
For those of you that do not know, the Tomahawk land attack cruise missile has right around 1,000 pounds of explosives inside of it.
That, on its maximum yield, unless you're using a nuke. But you also failed to mention that it can unofficially drop down its munitions level to 400 pounds. Unofficially, of course. So to say that Tomahawks don't have different yields depending upon the package and depending upon the strike parameters of the mission, this is what makes the Tomahawk one of the greatest vertical launch systems. And its booster rocket makes it incredible to go from a vertical launch position, unlike you can get from a bomber, high altitude bomber, gives you amazing speed, amazing nap of the earth flying, but also gives you intricate with terminal pop-up surgical strikes with our targeting systems nowadays that are 10 times better than they were 30 years ago. So to sit here and say that it was a 1,000-pound Tomahawk is yes, at its maximum yield, but then you got to go to its minimum yield. So ask yourself the question, let's just take the middle. Could 600 pounds replicate this explosion? And the answer is yes. Would 600 pounds possibly take out that school? Sure. Would it flatten it? Yeah, 600 pounds of explosives pretty much going to blow up that little area. I still think, because the school, do you see where this green dot is over here? This is the pathway of where the school is. It's over here. This is where the school is. This explosion is, if you look at the mapping and you look at the overall BDA that's been done from satellites, is the school's over here. And it's like, it's not like online with this, it's up here. Even the map shows you that. Even the video shows you that. He's going to show you where they're standing. So I just disagree with his overall assessment of the explosive profile of this weapon system.
That was not a 1,000-pound equivalent explosion.
I agree.
Not even remotely close. But told you guys it was going to get fun.
Then it's not a KH-55 either, because a KH-55's maximum payload is 800 pounds. And that's not an 800-pound explosion either. So you have to, if you're going to say it's a KH-55, then the explosive profile of that KH-55 wasn't represented in the shot either. So you know it's not a KH-55. This is the difference between door kickers and intel. Mad respect. This guy's great. I love this guy. I'd love to have a conversation with him, but I would also like to challenge him and like to maybe debate him on this a little bit, because I don't think he knows enough about the Tomahawk. He doesn't even have a sensitive overall prescription for what the Tomahawk can do, let alone a classified one. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
So, Bellingcat.
Yeah, this is great. So take a look real quick before he says anything. So take a look at the school. It's a white box over here. Take a look at this orange box. Oh, God, let me give you my mouse. Orange box, red box, blue box. Okay, so you come down here and look. Orange box, red box, blue box, all right here. So this is the very front. Then you see, oh, red box over here, sorry. So this is way in the back. If you look at the cone for the possible strike area, this green box is over here. Here it is represented in the photo. There's the purple box. Purple box is over here. So that means the white box is way over here. It's nowhere near the blast radius. It's not even anywhere close to the cone. But that doesn't mean that a sympathetic explosion didn't take place. It doesn't mean that a Tomahawk couldn't have strayed off. It doesn't mean that they couldn't have hit that area. None of that's All we're trying to identify is if it's a Tomahawk or not. The rest of this is all guesswork.
Research on it. Bellingcat said that the video that you just watched was taken from across the street to the south of the compound, and I tend to concur. I don't think they lied about that. I don't think there's a dang thing wrong with.
Well, they can't lie about it. We've got the profile. If you look at the overhead map, you can see, you can count every tree. You can see the divider line here. Okay. Look, guys, you can see the divider line, which is right here. You can see the copse of trees right here. You can see the curvature of the road, which is essentially where they're at based upon the angle. I mean, it's all right here. Look at, here's the green building. Well, you can see the road comes through over here. So everything is represented effectively. Of course, that's where it at. You can even see where that purple tower is. You see this? It's right there. It's right there. Match it up. Here's a giant swath of trees. Well, let's look. You've got this orange building right here. Well, look at, there's that giant swath of trees. It's right here. You've got two trees here. Well, look right here. 1, 2. Everything matches up. So yeah, of course it lines up.
And that video was taken from the south, not one tiny bit. That it was. They are correct.
Well, understand this. When we say the school is outside the strike zone, this is where the hits were taking place of these buildings. This is the anticipated swath based upon lining up all the strikes that took place. It doesn't mean that something could have happened on the outside. You guys understand, Tomahawks are extremely accurate, but mistakes do take place. But I'm not saying that at all. I don't even think that this was even remotely close to where they show where that supposed KH-55 or the Tomahawk hits. I think it hit its target, which is probably some of these areas right here is where it looks like it hit. Here, here, and here. This looks like where the explosion took place. Watch it again. It's like right fucking here. So even if they're showing that that's the missile that came down, it is a Tomahawk. This just completely just erases his argument. It's a fucking Tomahawk because it hit what they aimed at. We don't see the school hit. What we don't know is if areas were hit here or here, and we had a sympathetic explosion. We don't know if one pipe was hit. We don't know if it is an underlying gas main. We have no idea. But I'm telling you, if that building right here was hit by 2 Tomahawks, is what they're saying, this building would not be there. There would be no desks. There would be no shrine to Allah, folks. It would all be gone. So I stick to my story that was a Tomahawk that we see. I stick to my story that we hit our targets. I will not confirm that this was a Tomahawk missile that hit the school in any way, shape, or form. Do I believe it was sympathetic explosion? Yes. That's what I think happened.
And as you look north, you would see the school, which is located right up over here in the top right corner of this image.
He's right.
We also know that all of these other buildings were center punched and leveled, but for some reason the school just had a little bit of a mishap.
Okay, it's not a miss. All right, I'm done. He's not even here. I'm not going to talk to him.
So, with that being said, looking at the video, I think most of us would concur. By the way, that was geolocated to this building right down here across the street.
Dude, brother, listen, Matt, I really like you. You're a smart dude. I love you. I want you on my show. Do you see this? That's a crater. You see this? This is carbon scoring from a crater. See this? This is a crater. Carbon scoring from a crater. Okay? You've got 2 independent strikes right here. And you have blast. You have a vehicle here, which obviously got hit. You have a small fire here. And look at all the trees. Do you see you don't have any trees here? Remember what I just said, that those trees could have held some sort of oil tank or propane or gas? Well, let's look at it. This is your overall picture of a satellite, but this isn't your BDA. The building's intact. So you're making overall assumptions that these are explosive hits. Well, it's not. This isn't a carbon scoring here. This is a tree. This is a tree. We saw them in the initial ground shot. So I think what he's seeing, and he thinks this is posthumous from the event. This isn't. This is the before shot. So if you want to see what damage happened, you got to go to the after shot. So let's go back.
You guys can see the tire tracks going right through the IRGC compound where there's supposed to be a wall, and it's not there. Even if I was to go back to this initial video and blow this up on your screen and zoom, it's been there the entire time. Now, this is where it gets fun. To same overlay that they used, the necks of all
I want to find
youth is. That's camo. You're about to see the way they set that area. All right. All right. Right here on this corner. This chunk of the building is gone.
Show me that picture. Show me, where was it? That looks like sympathetic explosion to me, man. Those inner walls all stood. There we go. Is this it? There.
Tracks.
Stop. All right. All right. Let's have a look-see-dooksy. Dude. Look at that. That is a classic. Look at the debris. Look at the debris field. Debris field. Remember all those trees? Gone. This is an entryway. This is an entryway. We established that right here. Remember that court concrete? You know what this looks like? You honestly know what this looks like? It's not big enough for somebody to clack a vest, but this looks like a charge, or that it hit a propane tank, gas line. This looks like an explosion to me because there's too much rubble and the structure is intact. Guys, if you drop a 2-ton bomb, a 1,000-pound bomb, moving in at terminal velocity, 150 plus miles an hour, straight down, do you understand what that would do to the structural integrity of this area? To me, this looks like a sympathetic explosion. This looks like it hit a gas line. This looks like it hit an oil tank. All those trees are gone. Everything's been blown out to hell. You've got scoring here of carbon for sure. You've got this building hit down here. You've got damage here. You guys, I don't know. I'm not there. But I will tell you that is a very strange result for any missile system that's coming at an 80 degree, 70 degree down angle. Look at the devastation here. This is blown. Look at that. It's completely flattened. That building's just gone. Gone. Same thing here. Gone. I mean, you've got massive scorching. You've got collapsed walls. You have buildings that are on the other side that are cored out by fire. These are just turned into rubble. This is what you can expect from a strike when it comes to a Tomahawk. This is a completely different bomb pattern. Look at that. There's no scorching. You've got displaced cement on the outside, which means that the blast, where's my fucking pointer? Look at the blast indicators. The blast doesn't go this way. It almost looks like a shape charge. Almost like it blows out like a claymore. There's no back blast. Do you guys see this? This is a very clean explosion. It's very systematic. It's an upward bomb. It's ripped through this building. It does not, to me, look like ordnance from above. It just doesn't. All right, let's finish. Went
right through the IRGC compound where there's supposed to be a wall, and it's not there. Even if I was to go back to this initial really, really crappy video, but they're alleging that is a Tomahawk. Well, we have an issue here.
Okay, show me the issue.
First issue comes with where the nose of the munition.
I showed you this last night. I already debunked this.
And we bring that line up here.
By the way, okay, here's a perfect example. See how he's showing an 80 degree? The protractor is not straight. The picture is still tilted. So his horizon lines are off. That's the one thing he didn't
throw
do.
another line on it. And then you lay an angle on it. You can see that this is well above 80-degree angle of attack.
It's actually almost spot on 80-degree, which is within the parameter of a tomahawk.
80 degrees.
You guys,
They
it's a
are
tomahawk.
really close from land, but further, steeper than what a tomahawk can actually do.
That's
or
not
is
true.
designed to do. Now, do
That's
we
not
have
true.
variants that can do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
But you got a 1 out of 5 shot on this one.
Wait,
So
what?
the percentage is with you on this.
Bullshit. Every single tomahawk. Okay, I'm not going to get into details.
Now,
wrong.
for those that are saying it looks like a tomahawk, and like I said, I brought up the KH-55.
Yep.
Iran's got a variant. I'm being informed that they have limited capacity to fire it from land, but they can fire it from land.
They can, but what they have other ordnance. Forget it.
But they have a limited capacity to fire it from land. The interesting thing about the KH-55 variant is it's got this little frickin' turbo prop looking deal here on the bottom of it.
It does, and look where the fins are at. It's on the back half side. He said it was 40 to 50% to the nose. It's not. It's 40 to 50% to the back. And the fins that are coming out of the KH-55, because it has this additional engine, are less because it doesn't use glide slope as much as the Tomahawk does. It increases its overall profile signature when it has an additional engine on here, and the designers did not want that in Arizona. When they designed this, when GD and Northrop Grumman designed this thing, they did not want it to be a high-profile system.
Y'all see that?
Yep, we do.
That little guy hanging out in the back. One, the accuracy problem to where we have center mass hits on every single structure, multiple hits on this one taken out. And this one, for some reason, just decided to chunk off the corner of a building. That doesn't track. Then we bring in the fact that it used to be an IRGC compound.
All right. We're spinning our heels here. Here's the thing. Does the actual strike look different than the others? Yes. Do I believe that in today's world, a tomahawk can hit an area and go astray? Yes. Do I believe this is what happened here? No. I believe that explosion is a completely different explosion altogether. I really do. It does not scream to me. That could have been munitions that were there. You could have had some guy who clacked off a vest. His orders were to martyr the school in case of an attack. So they had explosives in there. They had weapon systems in there. They have black powder in there. They have whatever. And he goes on and clacks off a vest and it blows up the entire area. I don't know. That's a lot more believable to me. It's not a tomahawk that hit that school. I am almost 100% positive based upon just even the analysis that we have from the other parts of the building. They were all built around the same time, same structural integrity, the same scorches, the same blast marks, the same yield of explosives. All of those things show. To me, it doesn't scan. That's it. Folks, we just got one. 6414, desperate need of donations. We are running a little bit slow tonight. Let's go on Tucker to Pearl Harbor. Had some comments about Pearl Harbor. We're going to walk through it together.
You know, people would say, oh, Roosevelt knew that the Japanese were going to attack Oahu in December of 1941. I was like, you must be crazy. Well, it turns out that's true. 1941, when we got into the war, when Roosevelt allowed Pearl Harbor to happen, which he did.
We knew to the morning that Pearl Harbor was going to get attacked.
It's clear there was foreknowledge of Pearl Harbor. It's just absolutely clear.
But if it ever emerges that our diplomatic efforts with Iran, both in February of this year and in June of last year, were fake, and they were designed to lull the Iranians into a false sense of security so we could launch a sneak attack on them, how is that better than Pearl Harbor? How is that better than any dishonorable sneak attack in history? Of course, it's not. You know, people would say, oh,
this guy's just really frustrating me lately, and I hope you guys are feeling the same way. Did Roosevelt know about the attack in Pearl Harbor? Donation came in. Bobby Richardson donated $26.25. Very informative. Love you all. Thank you, Bobby. We really, really desperately need the donations. 9039. Slow night tonight. Rough night tonight. Could use a little bit of love. Okay, so did Roosevelt know about Pearl Harbor? I happen to spend a lot of time on Pearl Harbor, and I will tell you this. It's not a fair thing to say. I'll tell you what he did know. they had intercepted and they had broken the code system, the diplomatic code system. It's called MAGIC. Most people know this. It's very separate from the Enigma code breaking machines that were in World War II with the Germans. But the Japanese code had been broken, and we had selectively ensured that we were careful with allowing the Japanese to know that we had broken their code. We knew relationships were collapsing with the peace treaties that were taking place in D.C. But what Roosevelt did not know, he didn't know the exact target. He didn't know the exact date. And they had absolutely no fucking clue that the strike would happen in Hawaii whatsoever. They thought it was going to be like the Philippines, British, Malaya, Thailand, the Dutch Indies, something to that effect. Dutch East Indies, be exact. What he doesn't talk about is there were several investigations on Pearl Harbor. There was an investigation in 1941, 1944 to 45, and I believe 45 to 46. The Roberts Commission investigated this thing. The Army Pearl Harbor Board investigated this thing. Joint congressional investigation happened as well. All the conclusions is that it was an intelligence failure, just like 9/11. Poor communications, poor interagency sharing of information, commanders in Hawaii not being fully prepared, not following processes of cycling ships in and out, all of these things. But there was no deliberate evidence at all of a direct attack. Roosevelt thought that the war was inevitable. He thought it was just completely unavoidable. With the expansion of Asia and U.S. sanctions and oil embargoes on Japan, it was just a matter of time. But the expectation and reach of Pearl Harbor and launching a full-scale attack with bombers and Jap Zeros based upon the shallowness of Hawaii and Pearl Harbor did not give them the thought process that they could, A, bring a carrier over in complete incognito, which it was. Yamamoto did not break radio silence. Most of the empire didn't even know what was going to happen. The other forces inside Japan had no idea what was going to happen. Yamamoto had radio silence the entire time, avoided normal civilian and military shipping lanes, and literally played a cat and mouse game. And to bring 300 plus Jap Zeros into this fight along with bombers, it wasn't a probability that we even considered. So to say that Roosevelt even considered that would have made him the prognosticator of prognosticators and probably would have kept us out of World War II altogether. But that didn't happen. So it's easy to say he knew about it, he let it happen. It's a stupid, a stretch beyond the imagination that the United States would allow itself to have 1/3 of its fleet just be rendered inert. It's just a ridiculous fucking notion, considering that the Japanese already outnumbered us. They own the Pacific. Japan, from Australia to French Polynesia to the U.S. Virgin Islands to Diego Garcia to India, Jakarta, all of it was owned by the Japanese. And to assume that we were going to get pulled into this war and we were completely fine with having 1/3 of our fleet be razor bladed is just a stupid thought process. If anyone who knows anything about strategic naval warfare understands that this would have been more feasible to use submarines to bring in 30 or 40 commando style units to infiltrate the harbor and to use mines on the bottom of these vessels would have been more feasible, which was completely not feasible as well, than to execute the attack that they did. Now, did we have signs? Yes. We had early warning signs. We had intercepted communications from civilian Japanese who were Americans who were giving information to Tokyo. We had base and naval commanders and intelligence who had received message traffic and intercepted radio communications. They had seen a mini sub that was actually used by Japan and sunk, that they had forewarning that there was a Japanese fucking vessel, which should have put the entire bay on alert. They should have scrambled all vessels at once out to sea in some sort of attack. They had most of the base on stand down due to the fact that it was December 7th and they were running a skeleton crew. They had stacked all of their fighters together in order to stop the saboteur possibility that I had just mentioned. All of these things are put together in a way where they thought sabotage was going to be the point and didn't even conceptualize that a carrier was going to be able to slip through the nets of the United States in one of the largest naval areas from Honolulu to Hawaii to Pearl Harbor to San Diego to Bremerton, Washington to Bangor, Washington, and Alaska, which is just literally full of civilian flights, civilian shipping lanes, military shipping lanes. There was no way the Japs were going to be able to do that. And in fact, it was so far-fetched to hit Hawaii, we thought they were going to hit the coast of California or hit Oregon, not Hawaii. It made no sense. Also, considering that most of the Hawaiian population were Japanese anyway. So there's just too much around Tucker not knowing it. He pretends that he understands these things. He pretends that he is a connoisseur of history. He's a connoisseur for surface level concepts that help support his ideologies. This is what he does. And he never quite says it, does he? He just leaves the breadcrumbs and he lets his proxies do it. He's very much like Iran. No wonder why he bought a home in Qatar. He just leaves little breadcrumbs and lets people say things and then go, oh, of course I don't think that. Of course I don't think that. Oh, but if I did, it's too much, man. Satellite imagery. Show you some of this. How we doing, Liv? Oh, we're getting killed. Slow night. Haven't had one of these. Dirt mounds. This is Isfahan. You guys know this is one of the 3 areas where they hit. You can still see the explosive craters in a few of these shots, these satellite images, where they teared these areas up. They are going through tunnels and excavating soil at a fairly decent rate. I will tell you this, that a lot of people are saying that Iran is going for nuclear fission material. First of all, there's nothing available. When it comes to storage, maybe they can have some fission material that they can actually use. Understand this, 60% is what you need for weapon grade uranium. People think you need 100%. That's not the way it works. The overall yield of the explosive device, you can make a dirty bomb at a 60. The point is this, is they're going in here to see what's salvageable. They're going in here to excavate this because they believe that there's some sort of structural integrity down here. I promise you this, we know. And we're not going to hit a bunch of trucks and we're not going to hit a bunch of excavators the moment that they show up. No, we're going to let them go ahead and move, a couple 100 tons of earth, and then we're just going to sink the fucking thing again. Okay? So people need to relax, understand that we knew they were going to try to dig some of this stuff out. They were going to try to go back in. And I promise you this, that the United States is well aware. They know this. This isn't some, super secret. We can see the excavation. You can see the wet soil. You can see it's getting darker and darker on the soil, which means that it's deeper and deeper. And they are going to dig into these tunnels. And as soon as we feel that they've excavated enough dirt and wasted enough time, we're going to bury them again. These sites will be underground permanently. So, by the way, I thought they weren't successful with their strikes. If they weren't successful, why are they digging out of it? Epic Fury. I've only got a few more minutes, folks, and tonight is just a really slow night. So we're probably gonna pull out after this. I've got a whole bunch more, but I just don't. I can't stay on way past 9 tonight. Here is just a funny Epic Fury exchange between what's supposed to be an Israeli pilot and an American pilot. Suspend disbelief here. This guy's wearing a Strategic Air Command patch from the Air Force on his his flight suit. So people are going to be like, well, it's not an Israeli. Just relax, people. It's AI. It's just kind of funny. Enjoy this.
Control, this is Falcon 1. We are approaching target area. David 1, what is your status?
Okay, we coming. 1 minute. Falcon 1, you all good?
Copy that, David 1. Target is in sight. I repeat, target is in sight. We are awaiting confirmation. Do you copy?
Brother, listen, chill. We're gonna do it when we're gonna do it, okay? I'll tell you when.
10 seconds to target area. Are we clear to strike?
Bro, I'm literally going over the beach right now. I'm telling you, it's a vibe.
David 1, are you locked on target?
I think this is Hormuz or something, eh? It's a Yofi.
Control, we are at 5 seconds to payload for coordinated strike. David 1, what is your status?
Yeah, it's a cave. Wow.
Good God, man. What are you doing? Are we clear to engage?
1 second. I'll tell you when.
Control, we are about 1 minute away from being picked up on radar. It's now or never. Are we doing this?
Wait a minute. Is it cool with everyone if I go into space?
What? Go check out the move.
Good night, Jen. Have a good one.
Literally, I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Control, I am directly over target area. We are being picked up on radar. Do we have authorization to strike?
Yeah, okay, we're ready. Just wait for the signal.
Signal? David 1, we did not discuss a signal.
Ochnia, Falcon 1, ochnia. Okay, it's coming up.
When, now?
Okay, we did it.
What do you mean you did it? We're confirmed?
Yeah, man, it's all good, bro. We got it.
We're supposed to coordinate. Alright, I just dropped mine. Control, we can confirm both payloads have been delivered. Target is destroyed.
See, I told you, man. We're gonna do it. No problem.
I don't know how you guys get anything done.
Listen, brother, I'm starving. You want some shawarma?
Shawarma? Actually, that sounds really good. Yeah, I could definitely go for that.
Come, I know a place.
So someone's asking what planes are. They're F-16 and then they're an F-22. So F-22 would be doing a bombing run. So suspend disbelief, folks.
Follow me.
Fun.
Straight, right.
What? What does that mean?
Oy vavoy. Okay, use Waze. By the way, they just picked a new Ayatollah, so we gotta go back after lunch.
Are you serious right now?
Don't worry, bro. We'll coordinate.
Control, this is...
It's good shit. Pretty funny. This is an interesting one. So I want you guys to think about how long it took to get Saddam Hussein. We never got the first Ayatollah Khomeini. It took us 6 years to get Hitler. And take a look at Gaddafi. Take a look at Arafat. Take a look at Castro, Andropov, Khrushchev. The United States has not done a very good job of effectively eliminating leaders of totalitarian dictators, drug lords, whatever. I want you to think what Donald Trump has done with Maduro. And I want you to consider that he took out the Ayatollah and most of their leadership in like 3 hours. It is an incredible feat. And this gentleman is going to walk you through a little bit of history. If you have not studied, we learned about this in the Naval War College. But if you have not studied Alexander the Great and Darius, it is probably one of the most epic battles. There's 3 of them, actually. And 3 times Alexander the Great failed to get Darius. And even on the final time of getting Darius, it wasn't Alexander the Great that did it. And a lot of people think that it was his own troops that took Darius's life as they found him under a tree, like Johnny Ringo style from Tombstone. But it's a whole other conversation. But the point is that Alexander the Great, one of the most prolific military commanders ever in history. Yeah, Mao's a Pol Pot. I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, great point. But when you look at this and you listen to him, he's making a very substantial point that Donald Trump has had an amazing amount of success. Tara, that's horribly sad. That's horribly sad. Sorry for your loss. But just watch this video. It's very interesting. So if you're not familiar with Darius and the Persians, and you're not familiar with Alexander the Great, and you're not familiar with the Damascus River and the battle of Darius and Alexander and the conflicts that they had in the Tigris River, study the story because it's amazing. In fact, maybe what I'll do is for a special show, I'll walk you through the battle of Darius versus Alexander the Great in the Tigris River. And it is probably one of the most amazing stories you've ever heard when it comes to strategic battle. And a lot of Alexander the Great's battle strategies and tactics are still in place today. Here it is.
Okay, hello everyone. Candace, full TDS today. Full TDS, full Trump derangement syndrome. Just a couple of facts, Candace, just a couple of facts here. When uranium gets to 60% enriched, it sounds like it needs another 30% to go to be weapons grade. It sounds like that, but that's not right. The separation work that's done is 95 to 98% done. Only a little bit more effort to get it to weapons grade. Now here you have the Ayatollah with 1 million people in Tehran, in the square, yelling death to America. And you have them threatening and sending missiles to every one of their neighbors, including us, including Israel, including all the Arab neighbors with their existing missiles. Now, what if they had nuclear warheads? They threatened to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. What if they had nuclear warheads to do that? They were 98% of the way there. Now, did Trump try to negotiate? Yes, he had 460 kilograms. There was Wickoff and all those guys were trying to, with Jared Kushner and so forth, trying to negotiate. And they said, we're not going to negotiate. We're not going to sell it to you. There's no choice here. You get the idea of no choice? As far as military successes go, you have to go back to Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great also fought a Persian. Alexander the Great beat Darius in the 3 most famous battles in military history, beat Darius of Persia 3 times. Guess what? He never killed Darius, right? Trump has had the most successful military operation probably in history. All the Napoleonic, all the Nazi victories in early World War II. You have to really go all the way back to Alexander the Great. And even then, he didn't get his man. Reagan didn't get the Iranians. Bush didn't get the Iranians. None of the, Carter certainly didn't. He just lost the hostages. So at some point, we have to look at it and say, there's no choice here. And the only thing that you would want a leader to do is the thing that saves your country. When somebody's screaming death to America from a minaret, and there's a million people all saying that, and then they have a nuclear weapon on top of it, after we see them shooting the missiles to everywhere, come on. Somehow do a cleanse, do a colon cleanse or some kind of brain cleanse. You really need to think about that for a minute, that's how close the world came to Iran having a nuclear weapon. Okay, hello everyone. Candace, full TDS.
Pretty good points. I already covered a lot of it. Folks, I'm going to put 12 minutes on the clock. We're going to get out of here at 9:15, just a slow night. And honestly, we got to keep moving forward. So we're going to do our 2 hours and then we're going to punch it. I saw this video earlier today and I'm going to make a cut of it. I thought it was really good. And it's kind of like reflecting back when we were growing up and looking at today. And is this progress? ? Pretty heartfelt. Thought it was kind of cool. We'll watch this.
Wait, so you're telling me in the future, people just stare at a little box all day?
Chuck, keep bailing us out, man. I really appreciate you. I'm sorry about the name didn't show up. It's just one of those nights, but I want to say thank you so much for doing that, man. That means a great deal, and I really, really appreciate your help with that, brother. Thank you.
Inside and outside?
And in the future, you don't even own the music. You just pay every month to borrow it. Like, if you stop paying, the music just disappears.
Wait, so before people eat, they take a picture of the food and show strangers? And the strangers like and comment on it? So in the future, everyone has their own phone and they use it to type messages instead of call? And if someone calls you without typing it first, it's considered rude? So you're telling me in the future, people just post their diary for everyone to see?
Some people get paid for it.
For their diary? And in the future, a little box just tells you where to go, turn by turn, and people still get lost? If you want food from a restaurant, you just tap
Thanks, Chuck. See you Friday, dude.
the box, and a stranger brings it to your door, and you pay extra for that, and then you rate the stranger? Our moms always say don't talk to strangers. But in the future, everyone just talks to strangers all day on the little box and shows them their house and their kids. So in the future, nobody ever just sits with the quiet Like ever?
It's probably the best AI video I've ever seen. I mean, even the grass stains on the knees, it's exceptionally done. And I don't mind AI videos that actually allow you to suspend disbelief or not take you out of the moment. It's one of the best AI videos I've ever seen because it's not propaganda. It's allows you to go back in the past without spending $100,000 on a video like this. I mean, you can't recreate this environment without spending movie production quality. So to me, it was kind of cool.
That sounds really exhausting.
Tammy, got your jacket ordered. It'll be here in a few days, and then we'll ship it out to you. Have a good night, hon.
Future? Everyone's connected to everything, and people are still lonely?
Oh.
Okay, but do we at least still stay outside until the streetlights come on?
That's pretty powerful, you know? It kind of hits. A simpler time, I was thinking back just when I was a kid, you know, and you know, you're like, wow, it's a long time, but it's not that long. Like it literally feels like I can just think about when I was 10 like that. And there's only so much space that the human brain has to compartmentalize and hold on to the long-term and short-term memories. And at some point you get so many of them that they just kind of all run together, and it's hard to delineate between what's the past and what's current, you know? And I think there's a sweet spot, like the age between 25 and 35, there's this cognitive dissonance that you're just like, oh man, that was forever ago when I was 10, you know? But then once that 35, 40 range hits, you're just like, holy shit. You know what? Like, that seems like it was yesterday. What do you mean 40 years since Def Leppard Hysteria came out? What do you mean? How is it possible 40 years ago Def Leppard Hysteria came out? That's impossible. What do you mean we've already passed 2023 and Back to the Future when he's got the time program for when they go back to the future? How is that possible? It's hard to believe, man. It's really hard to believe. $190.39, folks. We're $110. I always enjoy it when it's a slow night and then we get a big one and we get close, but then I'm just like, oh fuck, now I gotta grind it out. So let's crush this. Let's get after it. Don't put yourself in harm's way. You don't need to apologize. You can't. We never asked that. You guys are incredible. We hit goal all the time. We are in the third month of the year. And I think it's honestly been a year since we haven't hit goal. It's been an incredible amount of time. I think maybe since 2 years, but 3 years we've been donating. You guys have been donating. We've missed goal like maybe 5 times. I have no problem with you guys. I love you guys. Yeah, Tammy, you're the only one who won a jacket. Yeah, it's you. We had to order everybody's jackets we're a month, like we do all the drawings and then we order them all at once. It's just easier because of shipping. It gets expensive. It's like $50 to ship the jackets. So, you know, we're just trying to conserve. But yeah, we ordered everybody's jackets. So for all the February jackets will be shipped out here, hopefully in the next 5-6 days. So yours will be here soon. This is weird. I don't think you guys have seen this, but there was a teacher. Okay, so let me set this up. Teacher, you know what? Maybe let me let you watch it, because my first reaction was like, torch this woman, you know? What did she do? Did she take nude pictures of a kid, or did she, you know, what did she do? Did she sleep with a child? What happened? Watch this. I don't think you guys are going to expect what happens here.
Hello. Hi, I'm Deputy Sean with the Sheriff's Office. Do you happen to have your phone on you?
I do, yes.
Okay, if you want to go and hand that to me, please.
Yes.
Okay, the reason we're here is...
I mean, first thing I'm going to say is, do you have a warrant? And what do you want my phone for? What is this about? Am I under arrest? What the hell is going on? You know what I mean?
Been on Snapchat earlier today.
Yes, I was, yeah.
Okay, and so we got a call about a snap. So did you happen to make one today?
I did, yeah.
And what did you say in the snap?
I send a lot of snaps back and forth. I don't know really what this is about.
How about school today? Anything about school today?
It's a lot about school. I don't know.
So I guess the other question then, who are you sending them on your wall or whatever it's called, or you send it to someone specifically?
I didn't post anything today, if that's what you're. But no.
Okay. Did you send the things to people today?
I send like snaps to like my roommate and my boyfriend. That's
okay.
it. I'm allowed to take pictures of the kids.
Yeah.
So I take pictures of the kids. I took a picture of one kid because I always tell stories about it.
Yeah.
I can delete it if you want, but I do have a.
I mean, so like from an interrogation standpoint, like I'm listening to her and I'm going, I can take these pictures down if you want. They're innocuous. You know, it's like taking pictures of arts and crafts. And Olivia does it when she babysits the kids. Most teachers do this and post it on their school pages or send them to parents for updates. They have these little, you know, like TriStar program, not TriStar, but I don't remember the communication, but teachers text us all the time what was going on with our kids in elementary school and show us photos. And when our kids got a star, we would see that. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So like, I'm looking at her. She's not nervous. Her arms are crossed. She's not shaking. She's not stammering. She's trying to figure out what the fuck this is about. So I was immediately accused when I was watching, or I was confused when I was watching.
Picture of one of the students, but I keep it for like my safe keepings of the kids.
How about, did any of the kids make you mad today?
No.
Nothing about your computer or anything like that?
I had a lesson plan and one of the kids turned off my computer on my lesson plan. I was like, oh, dang. But I never get mad with the kids ever.
What did you snap after that? Did you send out?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Yeah, I mean.
What? I'm so confused.
So what I'm going to show you is the snap we received.
Oh, yes. But, okay.
All right, so you guys might be confused with Snap because I don't understand what the fuck it is anyway. Pardon my French, sorry. Two cussings. I don't know why I'm cussing. Sorry. So because this pisses me off. Let's be honest. So she's doing her job. She snaps in a private chat. So it's like Messenger. So there's 3 people, 2 friends and her boyfriend, and she just sends out a message. And basically the message says, I was doing my lessons plans, which means she's working, right? Kids are probably in their lunchtime or in their nap time or their project time, whatever. And she's working on a lesson plan, which isn't a one-day thing. It's a long process to build a lesson plan for kids. And one of the kids goes and like turns off her computer. And she's like, so she says it in chat, in a private chat. It's a private chat. Like something I would send to people people on this show message me all the time. It's just like if I sent you something private, right? And this is what happened.
Yes. This was a joke though, but yes.
Who did you send that to?
That was just just to 3 people. Not a private story, but like a private. Like there's only 3 people on there. Okay, yeah, I'm realizing that was a bad joke. That was a bad joke. I did not mean it at serious at all. I'm not a violent person. You can ask any of the teachers. I'm very calm. It wasn't meant to be violence in any way.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a serious offense, okay?
I know.
How we got it was the FBI, okay?
Oh, okay.
So you are going to go with us, okay? I do got to process you. Going to have to stay the night in jail.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh my God. This is crazy.
I know.
I did not mean it to get to this
I know.
far. This is insane. I made a stupid post on Snapchat. The cops came and they found me, and they're taking me to jail. It was just a joke. It was a stupid Snapchat, and I'm so sorry. I don't know.
Okay, so there is so much here, man, and I'll be honest with you, usually with teachers, it's always the other way around, that these teachers are just absolute knuckleheads. Dude, lawyer up, sweetie, and you're going to sue the living shit out of that school, out of the FBI. First of all, the FBI is not getting it. There is no fucking way that an hour or 2 before you said something that the FBI flagged your Snapchat. The officer's lying. The officer is also, he's lying. It wasn't the FBI. One of her friends leaked it, and this is what she said. Oh my God, one of the kids turned off my computer. Oh, should I shoot him? You guys heard me have my kids right here. How many times have I said, I'm just going to punch you right in the head? Or, Hayden, I'm going to smother you with a pillow. This teacher's not a bad person. She didn't do anything wrong. What did she do wrong? It was a joke amongst friends. And like, there's times I've said I want to kill my kids. Every parent has, every teacher probably has. In the workplace, people would come in and knock over product and ruin whole shelves. I'm like, oh, I want to kill that kid. But you don't. What do you mean the FBI read the Snapchat? First of all, the officer completely lied. It's under false pretense. There's no way the FBI did it. He's protecting one of the friends who said, please don't tell anyone. He's saying that she's going to be arrested and spend the night in jail. She's interviewed. Was she Mirandized? Because that is way past the line of basic questioning. Dude, like, I completely, once I found out what this was about, I wanted to assume the worst. Bubba says, never, not once, ever. I'm better than everyone else, I guess. Yeah, whatever. That's right, but you have it on tape. You have it on tape. Listen, let me give you an example. Two officers came into my house one time, came into my apartment building, and there was a complaint from a roommate about Olivia who worked in the place, and she had left, and it's not important. She had made some erroneous claims, and they came into my house and said, yeah, we need to talk to you. And I said, why? And he said, it's a noise complaint. Can we come in? And then I found out it wasn't a noise complaint, and they started looking around the house and did not have my consent to do so. But making an erroneous claim that the FBI is now involved in this. Yeah, you know, I don't know the law when it comes to that in interrogation, but I did not think isn't that entrapment? How is that not entrapment? If you go up and say, we've got DNA evidence, we've got you on videotape, we have 3 people who've how is that not coercion? Somebody help me understand that. I mean, who's a cop here? I mean, Tina Savage doesn't come around anymore because I don't know. I think I banned her. But does anyone have an idea? To me, I don't consider that to be serious. I just don't. My daughter-in-law was a teacher. She got out of it. She moved to the private sector and making a lot more. She got tired of being on edge all the time. Nah, they lie to suspects. Really, that's anecdotal. They can say whatever they want. Okay, so they can sit there and say that either you sign this or you're going to get the electric chair. They can say that. A cop can say that, no, you can't get a lawyer. You guys, I don't think this is true. I may not be a lawyer. Oh my God, see, I didn't know this. This comes from the court rulings interpreting the Fifth Amendment and the Miranda framework. The U.S. Supreme Court held that certain deceptive tactics do not automatically make a confession. Detectives can legally claim things like saying they have evidence they do not actually have, telling a suspect that a witness identified them, claiming fingerprints or DNA were found. These tactics. What they cannot do is threaten violence or harm. Well, they did threaten violence or harm. They told her she was going to jail overnight. Promise guaranteed leniency or immunity in exchange for a confession. Deny basic rights such as access to an attorney. Okay. Interrogate someone in conditions that make the confession involuntary. Holy shit, I didn't know. See, you learn something new every day. They say a lot, but if you say you want a lawyer, they have to. Okay, so once it goes into your actual rights, they have to comply. But they can lie to you. So they can say it's the FBI. And the FBI did, oh, that's some shitty shit, dude. Like, I don't agree with that at all. How does it, till your lawyer, well, I understand the lawyer shows up, but do you understand how shady that is? You're supposed to protect and serve. You're supposed to, yeah, but this tells you right here that police are not your friend. They're never your friend. They're not, if a detective wants to sit down after a righteous shooting, don't talk to him, lawyer. Every time you have a cop, lawyer. I learned my lesson on that. I will never talk to a cop again. Lawyer. Even though that detective did right by me and stood by me and honestly protected me, I will never talk to a cop again. Lawyer. Don't talk to cops. They're not your friends. After hearing this, they can lie to you. You know, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I've seen movies where they lie to suspects, but I had no idea. I just didn't know. Holy shit. The FBI flagged this, and you're going to go spend a night in jail now? Holy shit. I mean, it would make sense if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She's not going to get arraigned. So, you know, that makes sense. Lawyer. Oh, man. Folks, we're at 190.39. We've had a couple people help out. We are past goal. We're past the 9 o'clock hour. I am going to hold on just for a few more minutes. Well, no, I listen to a lot of true crime stuff. I've seen 48, and I've seen them stretch the truth. But to me, going in there, was she Mirandized? That's what I want to know. Was she Mirandized? Because that goes past the basic line of questioning, right? Once they sit down and start doing an investigation of that magnitude, she has to be Mirandized. Is that not right? I'm asking. As a retired teacher, we always had to sign paperwork saying we knew that we were being observed on computers. Now that makes sense too. Sword and scale. I didn't hear a charge. It's very interesting. Like, I think cops have too much power. I don't think I was that way a couple of years ago, but now I'm like, holy shit, they wield a lot of power. You know what I mean? Now, isn't that, now I've gotten screamed at. I hope I don't, I've gotten screamed at. Yeah, not scream. Scram's not a word. Scream's not a word. So I've gotten lit up. You don't understand Miranda. No, obviously I don't. And I'm willing to say in an interrogation that I don't understand all the rules. This is new to me. Folks, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I don't know everything. But that would, to me, she would have to be Mirandized at that point. You're under arrest, right? She didn't have to be Mirandized until she was taking him to custody for questioning. But anytime somebody ends up in the police car, they need to have their Miranda. That's not true, though. Andrew, that's not true. I was put in a police car. My Miranda rights were not read to me until I got into the station with a detective, but they were not asking me less than probing questions like, do you live at this address? Is your name such? Are these your kids? Once they started doing an investigation, though, that's when they had to Mirandize me. I'm interested. Yes, they do. Oh, yeah. She's like, dude, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is fucking stupid. This is stupid. She didn't say, oh my God, a kid shut off my computer and I'm going to shoot everybody in class. I can understand why you got to take precautions, but this is a friend saying something. I don't know, man. I didn't hear him read her Miranda rights. No, she shouldn't have talked. Lawyer. That's what, anytime a cop shows up, lawyer. Are you Matthew Spirit? Lawyer. I am no longer going to be that guy. I'm not going to talk to him. She should have asked, am I under arrest? Am I free to leave? Yeah, that's what. Mr. Spirit, would you like to talk to us? No. My lawyer's number is, here's his number. Am I under arrest? No. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye. Have a nice day. I'm not going to do it anymore. This is crazy. This is just so crazy. You're recording in a police car. They have to give you your rights before you talk or they can't use it. I have a family that are cops. Listen, what I knew about the law has changed. It seems like being Mirandized was, my understanding is once it goes past the surface level conversation of basic conversation and it gets into an investigative process where it's like, I'm now going to, but see, I think this is where I got yelled at by a former listener. She says, even if you're in handcuffs, you're being detained. They don't have to read you your rights. They don't have to read you your rights on site. Don't you all watch those reality shows? Then guys, here's my advice. Never, I respect your investigation. I'm not trying to be difficult, but I'm pleading the fifth and I want my lawyer. I'm not answering any questions. That's what I'm going to do from now on. Wow. Interesting. I need to go talk to my lawyer and get some advice. All right, folks. I don't know if we're going to go much further tonight. I think we've hit our maximum. I think people are, taxes are coming and yeah. See, Riley, I agree. That felt like an interrogation to me. Like you are asking specific questions and you're doing an investigation. I think it's gone in the past. If you don't know your rights, you have no rights. Well, no, I know my rights, and I understand I have the right to remain silent. That's all I need to know. And if a line of questioning is going down a range where I don't feel comfortable, I'm not afraid of cops because I know I didn't do anything wrong. But in the case, some cops get pissed when you stand up to them. I sued 2 different times, and one, my kids and I couldn't even drive anywhere without getting pulled over, floodlights on my windows at night, etc. Holy shit. It's custodial interrogation only. So you consider that to be custodial interrogation? You're sitting someone down. You're asking them an investigation, questions about an investigation. Oh man, see, I don't know. That's. This is now like the 4th time, so let's do this right. It's been too long since I've been out of criminal justice. Police only have to read Miranda rights when 2 things are happening at the same time. You are in custody and you're being interrogated. This rule comes from the Supreme Court. You are under arrest. You are handcuffed or detained in a patrol car. You are being held. Okay, custody means a reasonable person would believe they're not free to leave. You are under arrest. You are handcuffed or detained in a patrol car. You are being held in an interrogation room. Officers clearly tell you that you cannot leave. Folks, I got yelled at for that. I said that when you're in handcuffs and you're in a squad car, you're under arrest. Routine traffic stops, general questioning on the street, casual conversation with police, questions asked before you are formally detained. So what do you guys think? Does that qualify? She voluntarily gave up her phone. Yeah, you're right. She did. Yeah, that's that whole thing when I'm like, am I under arrest? All right, folks. This is my story and sticking to it. Lawyer. Folks, I got to go. We're already a half hour past. We're not going to hit it tonight. Let's just chalk it up to as a bad night, and we'll move on. I want to say thank you for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We appreciate you. If you have an opportunity, stop on by the site. Maybe you can pick up a shirt, some coffee, whatever. Let's chalk it up to a bad night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We've got plenty of things to cover. I'm sorry for the late start. I really do, but I did stay an extra 15. But I think we got a bad jump tonight, and we just got behind the numbers. So we'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow, it'll be Olivia and I at 7 o'clock. We'll probably have more for you, and we always do. So we'll talk to you guys then. God bless. Take care of each other. See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.